Hello, 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 and welcome to the Babe Bulletin podcast, where we talk empowerment, self-love, boudoir, and anything else that makes us feel like a total babe. My name is Alicia. I'm a boudoir photographer and a body liberation expert, and I'm really, really glad that you're here today because I feel like we've got a good topic to go through. Let's chat about something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is that progress will always, always, always beat perfection. I don't know about you, but I have spent way too much time waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan or even the perfect version of myself before I took action. And spoiler alert, that moment never came. I want to have an honest and real conversation today about why chasing perfection can keep us very much stuck and why choosing messy, beautiful, and imperfect progress is actually the most powerful move that we can make. The whole reason that this episode even came to fruition is because my husband and I were talking the other day about this podcast. We've never made a podcast before. This is all new to us. And my husband has never worked in a creative field before. He is the producer for this as well as my YouTube channel. And he has a lot of creative freedom right now, which was not something that existed in any of his previous jobs. So we're talking about the podcast and how it could be better. And you can hear the heater in this one episode. And now the outro scene, the boxes on the clip that we made aren't big enough for the YouTube, and et cetera, et cetera. There's always something that's kind of wrong about the episodes. And I said, hey, welcome to the creative world where progress is better than perfection. And he went, yes, that's it. That's what I've been feeling. That's exactly it. Like, I want these to be perfect, but they can't be, or I would never put out an episode. And I went, yeah, exactly. That's what it's like when you're chasing progress instead of perfection. You understand that, hey, this isn't going to be perfect, but I really need to do it anyways, or else it's never going to get done. Because chasing perfection is debilitating. It paralyzes us. It stops us from completing projects or trying new things. And it was such a funny little epiphany that I saw him have on our stairwell that I was like, maybe this should be a podcast episode, because he's certainly not the only one to feel this way. I feel this way all of the time, and you listening have probably experienced this as well. So that's kind of what can happen when we are so bogged down with the feeling that this has to be its absolute best in order for me to put it out into the world. Stuff doesn't get done. The perfectionism paralyzes progress. It paralyzes our ability to complete something. And it also will feed into a ton of self-doubt. I mean, I don't know about you, but when you get done trying something, maybe for the first, second, or even 20th time, and you look at it and you think, this could be better. Maybe it could be better because I just suck and other people are way better than me. Maybe I'm terrible at this. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Who am I to think I could do this? Who am I to think I should have dared to try this thing? And that's what perfectionism does. It feeds into that self-doubt. And we don't need that. Right? Perfectionism is the thing that makes us feel like we are never enough. We aren't good enough. My body isn't good enough to book a boudoir session. My body isn't good enough to go on vacation and be at the pool. My body isn't good enough to wear that outfit. You think I'm not talented enough to ask for the promotion at work. I'm not good enough to start a YouTube channel. I'm not going to even try to get into golf because I'm terrible at it. What's the point of even trying? That's what perfectionism does. It makes you feel like you are not enough to take the time to learn a new skill. It makes you feel like you're not good enough to try something new or to experiment or to get creative. And this is something that I truly believe everybody struggles with, at least at some point in their life. Especially high-achieving and very heart-centered women. I know my entrepreneur friends out there have definitely experienced this pull of perfectionism and having fear around putting something out that isn't A+ material in their mind. But you know what? Perfection is a moving target, and you're never going to catch it. I think something can always probably be a little bit better, a little more polished, a little more pretty, or whatever the heck it is, right? Like 50 episodes from now, we're going to look back on these episodes and think, wow, we have come such a long way. But at 200 episodes, we're going to look back at the 50th and go, oh, wow, we really came a long way, right? It's always a moving target. So let's not get bogged down in trying to capture that, because it might not ever happen. It's still better that you're putting something out there and you're doing the thing you want to do versus being stuck and not progressing and sitting in that self-doubt and feeling like you're never good enough. That's what perfectionism does, and we don't want any part of that, okay? Instead, let's focus on progressing, getting better, trying the new things. Progress, that's what builds momentum. That's what makes us feel like, ooh, I am chugging along. I can get this done. I am going to finish this crochet blanket. I've never tried a project this big, but I can get it done. I know I can, because you get a little bit farther every single day. Progress is what creates confidence and makes us feel like we can take on the world. We are good at this thing. I am a good podcaster, right? I've put out, 26 episodes now. Like, that's something that my husband has done. He is a good producer. Look at what we've created. Look at our YouTube channel. Look at how stuff is growing and people are listening to it and they're talking to me about it because they're listening to it. I feel way more confident now being in front of this camera and talking into a mic than I did on episode 1, episode 2, episode 10. Like, I'm in a much better place now, and I know that it's just going to go up and up and up from here. And the cool thing about progress and focusing on that instead is that it's honoring real growth, actual growth, not just the appearance of growth, but actual real growth. Like, you're doing the dang thing, you're getting better, you're trying harder. And it's really cool to celebrate that versus what, I don't know, the illusion of it. Anybody can kind of spin anything to make it look like it's better than it is. But when we're focusing on how we progress, we're really digging into that real actual growth and where we're succeeding. Progress helps you trust yourself a little bit more instead of judging. It's the opposite of that not enough feeling. And we get to celebrate our small wins, because guess what? The small wins are what turn into the big ones. Progress is what helps us celebrate the little wins. And let's be real, the little wins are what compound into the big ones. If you're sitting here thinking, I want to get this huge, giant task done, and I'm going to feel so good when I can get this one big thing done, what you might be failing to realize is that there's like 20 little subsets. There's like 20 little sub-steps underneath that. And you have to do each little step in order to get to that big win. Well, when we celebrate each little win, we're reminding ourselves, hey, I'm progressing forward. I'm getting closer to my big goal. You know, maybe you want to you want to sew a jacket. That's your big goal. I want to learn how to make a jacket. Okay, let's start somewhere small. What can you make that's a much easier, more accessible, more attainable project? Oh, you watched a couple of YouTube videos to learn how to thread and sew by hand. Oh, now we watched a couple of YouTube videos to learn how to get a sewing machine up and running. The sewing machine is going to be really helpful for making a jacket, etc., etc. And every time you accomplish something, you can celebrate that and honor that, because it's a big deal. You're getting closer to the really, really, really big task that you want to get done. And we get to honor and celebrate that and keep moving forward. So keep in mind, messy art, man, it can still be a masterpiece. You're still moving forward, even if things are not turning out necessarily the way that you think. We are moving forward. We're feeling good. We're building that momentum. And before you know it, you're going to get to that big project and that big, big, big win that you've been working towards. And it's going to feel so good instead of waiting for the big, big, big project to be perfect, right? We got to build to that. We got to get that momentum going. Now, I have a couple of tips on how we can shift our mindset away from perfectionism and towards focusing on progress. The one that, I love and said at the beginning is that progress is always better than perfection. Done is always better than perfect, and imperfect action is still powerful action. We love imperfect action here at the studio. I love imperfect action because it's still action. I also want you to think about shooting for a B+. Aim for a solid, good effort, but not necessarily perfection, because if that perfection is unattainable, then we're never going to get to it anyways. Now, this is easier said than done for some people, myself included. Yes, I was the kind of student who would get very, very, very upset if I did not get an A on a homework assignment. I may have cried more than once about not getting an A on a homework assignment. I really wanted everything to be perfect, and I still struggle with this from time to time. But that's why those mantras that I just talked about are really important, and remembering that done is better than perfect. A B+ is still an excellent grade. You did a good job. You put in solid effort, and that's something to be very proud of. If it helps, you could also start something called a progress journal, which is where you kind of track your small steps instead of like these giant leaps, because the small steps are going to happen on a regular basis. And when we're keeping track of them, we can actually see how much we're growing. Giant leaps, well, that there might be days or weeks or even months from one leap to another. And if you want something attainable, like something physical, something that you can really go back to see your wins, a journal might be perfect for you, because that's something physical that you can go back to. It's really easy to lose sight of little wins and stuff like that when we're not actually keeping track of it. I see that a lot with my boudoir clients who feel like, oh, I'm still so far away from X. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you like showed up for a boudoir session. That's a huge win. Why are you not recognizing that? Oh, you wore something outside of your comfort zone. That's a win. Why are we not recognizing that? Oh, you went shopping for lingerie, which is not something that you thought you could ever do. Let's recognize that. Like, there were all of these small wins that you had to accomplish and that you got to enjoy and that you did before you even came in for your boudoir session. So let's recognize those little wins. And a progress journal is a really great way to keep track of that if it's hard for you to kind of visualize and think about those things just sporadically throughout your day. Really take time then at the end of your day to write them all down. Which kind of goes into my next point, which is that we should be celebrating those 1% wins, the little wins, the teeny, teeny, tiny ones that you don't even know if they're worth recognizing. They are, because remember, any movement is movement forward. Any progress is good progress. We want to keep going forward. So yes, take the time to celebrate the little wins, okay? Because they're important too. My little win, for example, drinking more water. It's definitely something that I should be doing more. And it's my goal for the day to drink a lot of water today. So that's what I will be celebrating. Now, before we get to the babe of the week, there are a couple of ways that you can support the podcast. And guess what? They're totally free. The first one is that if you know somebody who could use a little more self-love or empowerment in their life, please pass this episode on to them. And also leave a one-time rate or review on your podcast provider of choice. It helps us get more ear holes on this bad boy, and we can spread the self-love around a little bit more when we do that. You can follow me at Bucks and Boudoir pretty much anywhere. And if you're interested in booking a boudoir session, head to bucksandboudoir.com. I would love to plan a session for you. All right, let's get to the babe of the week. I am shouting out Kelly at Mavericks Cocktail Lounge in Hartford for being so awesome and letting us use her tavern as a spot for a group shoot. A couple weeks ago, did something called the Boudoir and Bubbles group shoot. It's my second time doing one. Kelly always lets us use her space in Hartford. Again, that's Mavericks Cocktail Lounge. And it's really, really nice because she closes down the bar just for us. And she lets women come into her space and walk around in lingerie. She keeps it safe. She keeps it secure. And then I photograph people for free, and everybody gets to choose their favorite image. And it's a very empowering and uplifting time. We talk, we laugh. Folks get to meet brand new people, and it's really fun. I hope we can do more. She and I have been talking, and I think we're going to do more of them in the future. But it's a big deal to close down a business, especially if you're a bar and especially on a Saturday night. And she does. She will lock the door so nobody's coming in that's not supposed to be there, which keeps everything very safe and secure for the folks who want to try to dip their little toesies in the boudoir world for this group shoot. And it means a lot to me that she supports the community and does something like that. So shout out to Kelly and shout out to Mavericks Cocktail Lounge. You are our babe of the week. Thank you so much for what you do. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember that your body is a good body. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.